Beneath the towering stones of Stonehenge, or the perfectly aligned blocks of the Great Pyramid, there's a question that still echoes across centuries: how? How did ancient builders, without modern tools or technology, create structures so precise they challenge our understanding of history? These megalithic wonders stand as silent witnesses to skills we're only beginning to comprehend. Today, we're peeling back the layers of time to examine the uncanny precision, the hidden alignments, and the ingenious methods that turned raw stone into timeless monuments. What if these structures aren't just relics of the past, but coded messages from civilizations far more advanced than we've ever given them credit for? The answers lie in the cracks between the stones, waiting to be uncovered. From the windswept moors of England to the sun-baked plains of Turkey, megaliths rise from the earth like the bones of forgotten giants. But what exactly defines these ancient stone sentinels? At their core, megaliths are massive stone structures, some weighing as much as 100 elephants, assembled with such precision that even today we marvel at their construction. Unlike modern buildings held together by mortar, these stones rely on gravity, balance, and meticulous craftsmanship to stand the test of millennia. Take Göbekli Tepe, for example, a labyrinth of carved pillars buried beneath a Turkish hillside for 12,000 years. Or the haunting rows of Carnac in France, where thousands of standing stones stretch for miles like a petrified army. Some megaliths, like Newgrange in Ireland, were designed to capture the first light of the winter solstice, transforming stone into celestial calendars. Others, like the Dolmens scattered across Korea, served as tombs for the elite, their massive capstones sealing the mysteries of the dead. What's astonishing is how widespread these structures are. From the jungles of Peru to the deserts of India, humans on every continent felt the same primal urge to shape the earth with stone. Were they built for ritual, astronomy, or something even deeper, an unspoken language of sacred geometry? The more we study them, the clearer it becomes. These aren't just random piles of rock, but deliberate monuments crafted by cultures far more sophisticated than we once believed. So why does this matter today? Because each megalith is a puzzle piece in humanity's oldest story. Whether serving as cosmic observatories, burial chambers, or ceremonial sites, they force us to rethink what ancient people were truly capable of. The next time you see a photograph of Stonehenge or the Moai of Easter Island, don't just see a relic, see a challenge, a question carved in stone waiting for us to decode. Standing before a massive stone block weighing as much as a modern truck, it's hard not to wonder, how did ancient builders, without cranes or hydraulics, transport and lift these colossal slabs into place? The sheer scale of the challenge stretches our imagination, yet these civilizations not only succeeded, they did it with astonishing precision. One popular theory suggests the use of log rollers, wooden cylinders placed beneath the stones, allowing teams to drag them across great distances. The Egyptians might have employed this method with wet sand to reduce friction, while other cultures could have used ramps and levers to inch stones upward. But even these explanations struggle to account for the perfect alignment of structures like the Great Pyramid, where blocks fit together with gaps thinner than a credit card. Then there are the more unconventional ideas. Some researchers speculate that ancient societies harnessed lost technologies. Could sound vibrations have been used to soften or even levitate stone? Experiments with resonant frequencies have shown that certain tones can cause sand to form geometric patterns, raising intriguing possibilities. Others point to legends of vril energy or mysterious tools described in ancient texts now long forgotten. Of course, extraterrestrial theories linger at the fringes, fueled by the mind-bending precision of sites like Puma Punku, where stones were cut with near-industrial accuracy. But archaeologists generally favor human ingenuity over outlandish explanations after all. Humans have repeatedly proven capable of extraordinary engineering feats without outside intervention. Perhaps the most puzzling aspect isn't just how these stones were moved, but why so many cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, chose to build in such similar ways. Were they tapping into a shared, forgotten knowledge, or simply discovering the same solutions independently? With no written manuals or blueprints left behind, we're left with only the stones themselves, silent witnesses to a time when the impossible was just another day's work. Beneath the sweeping skies of England, Stonehenge rises like an ancient hand reaching for the stars. This isn't just a circle of rocks, it's a celestial clock meticulously designed to mark the sun's journey across the sky. During the summer solstice, the rising sun aligns perfectly with the heel stone, casting a beam of light deep into the heart of the monument. Centuries before telescopes or modern astronomy, the builders of Stonehenge mapped the heavens with nothing but stone and shadow. The mystery deepens when we consider the blue stone's smaller, yet no less significant pillars dragged all the way from the Precede Hills in Wales, a staggering 150 miles away. Why go to such extraordinary lengths? Some researchers believe these stones held special healing properties, turning Stonehenge into a prehistoric pilgrimage site. Others argue their placement was deliberate, forming an intricate astronomical grid that tracked not just the sun, but the moon's cycles and even eclipses. Archaeology reveals that Stonehenge wasn't built in a single era, but grew over generations. What began as a simple earthwork around 5,000 years ago evolved into the stone masterpiece we see today. Nearby burial mounds containing cremated remains suggest this was more than just an observatory. It was a sacred space where science and spirituality intertwined. The dead may have been laid to rest here to align their journeys with the cosmos, forever bound to the rhythms of the sky. What's fascinating is how Stonehenge's purpose seems to have shifted over time. Early phases hint at a funeral monument, while later additions point to grand ceremonial gatherings. Perhaps it served all these roles at once, a place to honor ancestors, celebrate the turning of the seasons, and unlock the secrets of the universe. Unlike modern buildings with a single function, Stonehenge feels alive, changing with the needs and beliefs of those who used it. Today, as visitors walk between the towering sarcens, they're standing in the footsteps of astronomers, priests, and pilgrims who once sought meaning in these stones. While we may never know every secret Stonehenge holds, one thing is certain. Its builders saw the world not as separate from the stars, but as part of a vast, interconnected mystery. And in that way, perhaps their greatest legacy isn't the stones themselves, but the questions they inspire in all of us. Among all the megalithic wonders of the ancient world, none captivate the imagination quite like the Great Pyramid of Giza. Rising from the desert with near-surgical precision, this architectural marvel doesn't just defy expectations, it shatters them. Consider this: its base is leveled to within just half an inch, and its sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, pointing to true north with an accuracy that rivals modern compasses. For a structure built over 4,500 years ago, that level of exactitude isn't just impressive, it's borderline inexplicable. Then there's the masonry itself. The pyramid's colossal limestone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons, fit together so tightly that not even a razor blade can slide between them. No mortar was used, just flawless craftsmanship. How did they achieve this without steel tools or laser-guided measurements? Some scholars argue for massive ramps spiraling around the pyramid's exterior, while others propose an intricate system of internal ramps hidden within the structure. There's even a fringe theory suggesting the blocks were cast from an early form of concrete, though this remains hotly debated. But the pyramid's secrets don't stop at engineering. Built into its very dimensions are mathematical constants like pi and the golden ratio, encoded with a sophistication that hints at advanced knowledge. The ratio of its perimeter to its height mirrors pi to 4 decimal places, and its chambers align with celestial bodies like Orion's belt. Was this intentional or an incredible coincidence? Egyptologists often argue it was a royal tomb, yet the pyramid lacks inscriptions, sarcophagi, or any traditional burial evidence, fueling alternative theories. Could it have been an energy amplifier harnessing Earth's natural frequencies, a cosmic antenna designed to communicate with the stars, or something even more profound, lost to time? What's undeniable is that the pyramid stands as a silent challenge to our assumptions about ancient technology. Unlike later pyramids, which show clear signs of decline in craftsmanship, the Great Pyramid represents a peak, a snapshot of knowledge that either faded or was deliberately concealed. Every time a new discovery is made, hidden chambers detected by muon scans, anomalies in thermal imaging, it only deepens the enigma. So while we may never fully unravel how or why the Great Pyramid was built, one truth remains: it forces us to reconsider what's possible. Whether you see it as a tomb, a temple, or something beyond our current understanding, its precision is an enduring testament to human brilliance, one that still whispers across the ages, daring us to decode its mysteries. Tucked away in the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe doesn't just rewrite history, it tears up the entire script. This sprawling complex of stone circles, adorned with intricate carvings of foxes, scorpions, and birds, wasn't built by farmers or city dwellers. Astonishingly, its towering T-shaped pillars were erected around 11,600 years ago, a staggering 7 millennia before the Great Pyramid of Giza. That places its construction in a time when humans were still nomadic hunter-gatherers, long before the invention of pottery, writing, or even the wheel. So why would people who hadn't yet settled in villages devote such colossal effort to carving and arranging multi-ton stones? The craftsmanship here is anything but primitive. Each limestone pillar, some standing over 16 feet tall, bears meticulously carved reliefs of animals, some fierce, some serene as if frozen in stone. These aren't random doodles. The precision suggests symbolic meaning, possibly a form of early storytelling or spiritual iconography. Even more intriguing, the pillars are arranged in concentric circles with pairs of taller stones at the center, resembling doorways or gateways. Archaeologists speculate this layout wasn't just decorative. It might have functioned as a ritual space, a place where communities gathered for ceremonies long lost to time. What's truly disruptive about Göbekli Tepe is how it flips traditional theories of civilization on their head. For decades, scholars assumed complex societies emerged after agriculture, when surplus food allowed specialization. But here's the twist: there's no evidence of farming or permanent settlement at the site. Instead, it seems hunter-gatherers banded together to create something monumental, driven by a shared belief system rather than economic necessity. This begs a radical question: did religion, not farming, lay the foundation for civilization? Then there's the mystery of its burial. Around 8000 BC, someone carefully covered the entire site with layers of soil and rubble, preserving it like a time capsule. Was this an act of reverence, or were they hiding something? Some researchers suggest the burial could mark the end of an era, a symbolic closing of the sacred space as societies shifted toward agriculture. Others wonder if the site's purpose became taboo, its stories too dangerous to leave exposed. Göbekli Tepe forces us to confront a humbling truth: our ancestors were far more sophisticated than we've ever credited them for. Without blueprints or metal tools, they engineered a spiritual epicenter that endured for millennia. As excavations continue, each new discovery chips away at our assumptions, reminding us that the dawn of civilization wasn't a slow burn, but perhaps a spark ignited by shared belief carved into stone for the ages. Looming over Easter Island's grassy slopes, the iconic Moai statues stand as silent guardians of a vanished world. These towering figures, some reaching heights of 33 feet and weighing as much as a small spacecraft, were carved from compressed volcanic ash with nothing but stone tools. But the real puzzle isn't just how they were sculpted, it's how they traveled up to 11 miles across rugged terrain without wheels, beasts of burden, or even ample timber to assist. For decades, researchers assumed the Moai were dragged horizontally on wooden sledges, a theory supported by the island's extensive network of ancient roads. Yet in a groundbreaking experiment, archaeologists demonstrated another possibility, that the statues might have been walked into position. By rocking them side to side with ropes, teams could have maneuvered the massive figures upright, inch by inch, like balancing a refrigerator on its edge. This method not only aligns with oral traditions describing the statues moving themselves, but also explains the scattered Moai found toppled along old transport routes, as if frozen mid-journey by some long-forgotten interruption. But the Moai aren't just feats of engineering, they're windows into Rapa Nui's spiritual world. Most face inland, their hollow eyes watching over villages rather than the sea, a clue that they likely embodied ancestral protectors. The islanders believed these figures channeled mana, a sacred life force linking the living to their forebears. Some Moai even bore coral and stone eyes during ceremonies, awakening their power in rituals that blurred the line between stone and spirit. Yet Easter Island's story carries a haunting warning. As the population grew, so did the demand for Moai, triggering rampant deforestation to transport them. By the time Europeans arrived in the 18th century, the once lush island was stripped bare, its society fractured by resource wars. The very statues meant to ensure prosperity may have hastened collapse, a reminder that even reverence can tip into excess. Today, the Moai endure as both masterpieces and cautionary symbols. Whether standing sentinel or lying toppled, they challenge us to ponder not just how they were moved, but why humans risk so much to carve their beliefs into the earth. In their stoic faces, we see ambition, devotion, and ultimately, the fragile balance between creation and consequence. Stretching across the windswept coast of Brittany, the Carnac Stones form a landscape so vast it feels almost otherworldly. Imagine row after row of weathered monoliths, some taller than a person, others looming like silent sentinels, over 3,000 in total, marching across the earth in eerie precision. This isn't just a collection of rocks, it's Europe's largest megalithic site, a puzzle carved into the land itself. While Stonehenge captures the world's imagination with its iconic circle, Carnac's sprawling alignments whisper a different kind of mystery, one that refuses to be easily solved. What's striking about these stones isn't just their number, but their deliberate arrangement. The megaliths are grouped into parallel rows spanning nearly 3 miles, with some sections curving like ancient processional pathways. Archaeologists have noted uncanny astronomical alignments. Certain rows point toward the rising sun during solstices, while others may track the moon's extremes. Were these markers for rituals, celestial maps, or perhaps thresholds between the physical and spiritual worlds? Unlike tombs or temples, Carnac's purpose leaves no obvious clues, forcing us to read between the lines of stone. Local folklore adds layers of intrigue to the site. For centuries, Breton tales spoke of the stones as an army of Roman soldiers turned to rock by the wizard Merlin, a poetic explanation for their regimented formation. Other legends describe giants who carried the monoliths in their aprons, dropping them where they stood. These stories, though fantastical, hint at something deeper. The human instinct to explain the unexplainable, to give meaning to what time has rendered mute. The scale of Carnac's construction speaks volumes about the society behind it. Moving and erecting thousands of stones, some weighing dozens of tons, would have required not just labor but coordination, a shared vision spanning generations. Unlike isolated monuments, Carnac feels like a communal project, one that bound people together across centuries. The absence of nearby settlements only deepens the enigma. Did builders travel from distant villages to create this vast open-air sanctuary, leaving no trace of their homes behind? Perhaps what makes Carnac most compelling is its refusal to conform to our expectations. Without burials, carvings, or clear ceremonial artifacts, it defies easy categorization. It's a blank canvas for interpretation, inviting us to project our questions onto its weathered surfaces. As the Breton mist rolls in, blurring the lines between the stones and the sky, one thing becomes clear: Carnac isn't just a relic of the past. It's a mirror reflecting back our endless fascination with the minds who shaped the world long before history began to write their story. High atop Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, the ruins of Baalbek stand as a testament to both ambition and mystery. Here, nestled among Roman temples, lies the Trilithan, 3 colossal limestone blocks, each weighing more than 800 tons. To put that into perspective, that's roughly the weight of 2 fully loaded Boeing 747 jets, lifted and fitted together with precision that would challenge modern cranes. But here's the twist: while the Romans built the grand temple of Jupiter atop these stones, evidence suggests they didn't place them there. The Trilithan might belong to a far older, unknown civilization, one capable of feats that still baffle engineers today. How do you move something so impossibly heavy? The Romans left no manuals, but archaeologists have pieced together plausible theories. One involves a system of wooden sledges, ropes, and sheer human labor, thousands of workers inching the blocks along lubricated earthen ramps. Yet even this explanation strains credibility when applied to the Trilithan's near-perfect placement. The stones fit so tightly that not even a needle could slip between them, a precision that hints at techniques beyond brute force. Some researchers speculate about levers, counterweights, or even advanced lifting mechanisms lost to time. Others point to local myths describing giants or divine intervention. Stories that, while unscientific, reflect the awe these stones have inspired for millennia. The deeper mystery lies in the site's layered history. Beneath the Roman temple, excavations reveal megalithic foundations with blocks even larger than the Trilithan, including the infamous Stone of the Pregnant Woman, an abandoned monolith weighing a staggering 1,200 tons. Why would anyone quarry such a massive stone, only to leave it half-carved in the bedrock? Some scholars argue these earlier stones belong to a sacred site predating Rome, possibly linked to the Phoenicians or even a forgotten Bronze Age culture. The Romans, master adapters, may have simply built atop these ruins, inheriting a legacy they didn't fully understand. Baalbek's grandeur raises profound questions about the timeline of human ingenuity. If the Romans, with their famed engineering prowess, couldn't replicate the Trilithan's construction, who could have achieved it centuries or even millennia earlier? The absence of records leaves us with only the stones themselves, silent, immovable witnesses to a forgotten chapter of history. Unlike Egyptian pyramids or Greek temples, Baalbek lacks the glory of a known patron or purpose, making its scale all the more enigmatic. Today, as visitors walk among the towering columns of Jupiter's temple, they're treading on a palimpsest of civilizations. Each era left its mark, but the oldest layer, the one that defies explanation, remains the most compelling. Whether you see it as a triumph of lost technology or a monument to human perseverance, Baalbek refuses to fit neatly into history's narrative. It stands instead as a challenge, daring us to reconsider what ancient societies were truly capable of, and how much of their knowledge might still lie buried, waiting to be uncovered. Perched high above Cusco, the ancient Inca fortress of Sacsayhuamon defies logic with its colossal stone walls, structures so precisely cut they look like nature itself fused them together. Unlike the right angles of modern architecture, these stones interlock in irregular polygonal patterns, each block uniquely shaped to fit its neighbors like pieces of an impossible jigsaw puzzle. What's astonishing isn't just the craftsmanship, but the fact that these walls have withstood centuries of earthquakes while Spanish colonial buildings below crumbled. Without mortar, the stones shift slightly during tremors, then settle back perfectly, an engineering marvel we're still trying to reverse engineer today. The scale here is staggering. Some limestone blocks tower over 25 feet tall and weigh more than 100 tons. Yet they're fitted together so tightly that even now you can't slip a sheet of paper between them. How did the Inca, who lacked iron tools or the wheel, achieve such precision? Theories range from meticulous hammering with harder stones to the use of wooden molds or even plant-derived acids to soften surfaces. But the truth remains elusive, buried with the master builders who left no written records. Yet Sacsayhuamon isn't just a feat of engineering, it's a tapestry of meaning. The fortress's zigzagging walls, some say, mirror the lightning bolts of Illapa, the Inca storm god, or the undulating form of a serpent, a sacred symbol of wisdom. Others argue the layout aligns with celestial events, turning the entire site into a stone reflection of the cosmos. This duality, practical and spiritual, runs deep in Inca culture. The same walls that repelled invaders also served as a ceremonial stage for rituals like Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun, where thousands gathered to honor the solstice. What's haunting is how much we don't know. Spanish chroniclers, intent on dismantling Inca power, dismantled much of Sacsayhuamon to build Cusco's cathedrals, erasing clues about its full original design. The surviving walls are just a fraction of what once stood, a reminder of how conquest can fracture history. But even in its partial state, Sacsayhuamon whispers secrets. Recent LiDAR scans reveal hidden tunnels and chambers beneath the site, hinting at undiscovered functions. Was it purely defensive, a storehouse for knowledge? A bridge between earth and sky, standing before these walls, you're struck by their silent dialogue with time. The Inca didn't just build a fortress, they encoded their worldview into stone, blending resilience with reverence. And perhaps that's their ultimate lesson. That true mastery lies not in dominating nature, but in listening to it, crafting structures that breathe with the land, endure its tremors, and echo its mysteries. What if the key to unlocking megalithic mysteries isn't just in the stones themselves, but in the forgotten tools and techniques used to shape them? While mainstream archaeology points to hammers, chisels, and sheer manpower, some researchers argue there's a missing piece to this puzzle. The precision of sites like Puma Punku or the Great Pyramid doesn't just challenge our assumptions, it hints at methods that may have vanished from history's record. Take geopolymer theory, for example. French chemist Joseph Davidovits proposed that ancient builders might have cast some stone blocks rather than quarrying them, mixing natural limestone with a binding agent to create an early form of concrete. This could explain how certain blocks fit together seamlessly, as if molded in place. Lab experiments show it's chemically plausible, yet debate rages. Why would cultures with advanced stone carving skills switch to casting? Unless, of course, they were blending both methods, an idea that blurs the line between ancient craftsmanship and proto-engineering. Then there's the enigma of sonic or vibrational drilling. Ancient Indian texts describe mythical flying machines called vimanas, powered by liquid mercury and resonant frequencies. While these accounts sound fantastical, modern experiments reveal something curious. Specific sound waves can soften stone, making it pliable like clay. Could this explain drill holes in granite at sites like Abu Sur, Egypt, where core samples show spiral grooves matching ultrasonic tool marks? Skeptics dismiss it as pseudoscience, but the gap between known Bronze Age tools and the artifacts they supposedly created leaves room for questions. Even more tangible are artifacts like the Baghdad Battery, a 2,000-year-old clay jar containing a copper cylinder and iron rod, capable of producing a small electric charge when filled with vinegar or wine. Was it merely a curiosity or evidence of electroplating knowledge lost for centuries? Similarly, the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek computer tracking planetary movements, proves that sophisticated engineering did exist, just not in ways we'd expect. But here's the tension. While these theories ignite imagination, they often lack smoking gun evidence. Archaeologists caution against cherry-picking anomalies while ignoring the simpler explanations like the ingenuity of human trial and error. After all, we've underestimated ancient innovators before. The real lesson might be humility. Whether through lost technologies, undocumented tools, or sheer brilliance, megalithic builders achieved what we're still struggling to replicate. And that's a mystery worth exploring, not to rewrite history, but to widen its borders. High above the plains of Ireland, the ancient passage tomb of Newgrange does something extraordinary. Every year, as the winter solstice dawn breaks, a narrow beam of sunlight creeps through a perfectly aligned roof box, flooding the inner chamber with golden light for roughly 17 precious minutes. This isn't random chance, it's a feat of engineering timed to the cosmos with uncanny precision. Built over 5,000 years ago, older than Stonehenge, older than the pyramids, Newgrange stands as proof that Neolithic cultures didn't just observe the heavens, they wove celestial patterns into the very fabric of their sacred spaces. But Newgrange is far from alone. Halfway across the world, perched in the Andean clouds, Machu Picchu's Intihuatana stone, often called the hitching post of the sun, serves as another testament to humanity's celestial obsession. Carved from a single outcrop, its angles mark the sun's position during equinoxes, casting no shadow at high noon. For the Inca, it wasn't just a calendar, it was a spiritual anchor, a tool to tie down the sun during its weakest point in winter, ensuring its return. The precision here is breathtaking. These builders compensated for altitude, terrain, and even the Earth's curvature in their calculations. What's striking is how these sites, separated by oceans and millennia, echo the same profound idea: architecture as a bridge between earth and sky. In Egypt, the Great Pyramid's shafts align with stars like Orion's belt. At Choco Canyon in New Mexico, petroglyphs track the 18.6-year lunar cycle. These aren't just monuments, they're frozen dialogues with the universe. Some researchers argue they functioned as agricultural calendars, marking planting seasons. Others see them as cosmic temples, where rituals synchronized with celestial events to harness perceived energies. Yet the most tantalizing question isn't how they achieved these alignments, it's why so many cultures independently converged on the same concept. Was it practical necessity, spiritual yearning, or something deeper, an innate human impulse to seek order in the stars? Modern astronomy relies on telescopes and algorithms, but these builders used stone and shadow to decode the cosmos. Their legacy challenges us to look up and wonder, in our quest to map the universe, have we lost the intimacy they shared with the night sky? As dawn lights Newgrange or the Intihuatana casts its noonday shadow, we're reminded that these sites weren't just built to last. They were built to speak across centuries through stone in the silent language of the stars, and their message, it seems, is timeless. In the quiet shadows of Korea's Dolmens, beneath massive capstones that have weathered millennia, lies a profound truth: these were never just tombs. They were thresholds, gateways where the living communed with ancestors, where earthly existence touched the eternal. Across continents and cultures, megaliths whisper the same sacred story, one that binds humanity not through tools or techniques, but through shared awe at life's deepest mysteries. Consider the dolmens themselves, colossal stone tables scattered like silent sentinels across the Korean countryside. Beneath them, elite burials held artifacts of power, jade ornaments, polished daggers hinting at beliefs in an afterlife where status persisted. But the stones above weren't merely lids, they were canvases, some bare carvings of celestial patterns or spirit animals, as if the builders sought to guide the departed through unseen realms. Unlike solitary graves, these megaliths clustered in groups, suggesting communal ceremonies where the living gathered to honor, mourn, and perhaps seek wisdom from those who'd crossed over. Half a world away, England's rollright stones tell a different but equally spiritual tale. Local folklore claims the weathered circle was once a king and his knights petrified by a witch's curse. But archaeology reveals something richer. Cremated bones buried at the site, alongside fragments of quartz crystal, a stone long associated with visions and sacred energy. Here, rituals likely pulsed with the rhythms of the seasons, marking solstices where the living danced alongside memories of the dead. The stones weren't just markers, they were participants in a cycle of remembrance that blurred time itself. This interplay of death and renewal finds eerie echoes in Malta's Haga Kim. Within its honey-colored chambers, carved spirals, symbols of eternal rebirth, wind across altar stones where offerings once smoldered. The temple's orientation captures the summer solstice sunrise, flooding the innermost sanctuary with light. For the farmers who built it 5,000 years ago, this moment may have symbolized not just a celestial event but a promise that as the sun returned, so too would the departed, woven into the tapestry of seasons and harvest. What's striking isn't just the diversity of these beliefs, but their resonance. From the Moai of Easter Island gazing inland to protect their descendants to India's hero stones, carved with warriors ascending to the heavens, the message is universal. Megaliths anchored communities to something greater than themselves, transforming grief into continuity, fear into reverence. Even today, descendants of these builders leave offerings at ancient sites, as if the stones still hum with something we can't quite name. Perhaps that's their true power. They weren't built to be solved like equations, but to be felt, a testament to humanity's oldest quest for meaning. As modern visitors trace their fingers over weather-worn carvings or stand in solstice light, they're not just observing history. They're stepping into a conversation that began when the first stone was raised and has never truly ended. Deep in the quarries of Aswan, where the ancient Egyptians sourced granite for their most enduring monuments, you can still see the scars of a remarkable process. Instead of brute force, they mastered the art of thermal expansion, heating stones with controlled fires before dousing them with water, causing the rock to fracture along precise lines. This wasn't random hacking, it was surgical precision with nothing but fire, water, and patience. In Baalbek, similar techniques left behind half-carved monoliths, frozen in time like snapshots of a workshop abandoned mid-task. Transporting these stones was an equally calculated endeavor. While Hollywood often depicts armies of slaves dragging blocks under a scorching sun, evidence points to something far more ingenious. At sites like the Giza Plateau, remnants of ancient ramps and lubricated pathways suggest a system of sledges gliding over wet silt to reduce friction. In Peru, the Inca might have used log rollers for smaller stones, while their largest structures employed precisely carved outcrops, essentially turning the landscape itself into a natural conveyor belt. Water transport played a role too. Barges ferried stones along the Nile, and recent experiments show even Easter Island's Moai could have been moved upright using a rhythmic, walking motion with ropes. But the real marvel lies in the assembly. Without formal blueprints or written manuals, builders relied on embodied knowledge, skills passed down through generations, refined by trial and error. The Inca's polygonal masonry, where irregular blocks fit like jigsaw pieces, required an intuitive grasp of geometry we'd now need computers to replicate. At Gerbikli Tepe, pillars were slotted into pre-carved bedrock sockets, their weight alone ensuring stability. This wasn't guesswork, it was the culmination of centuries of observation, where understanding materials became second nature. Modern engineers trying to recreate these feats often hit surprising roadblocks. When a team attempted to build a small-scale pyramid using only ancient methods, they struggled with the logistics of aligning stones without modern surveying tools. Another experiment transporting a 1-ton Moai replica discovered how easily slight miscalculations could topple the statue. These challenges highlight what ancient builders achieved not through technology, but through deep collaboration and accumulated wisdom. A reminder that innovation isn't always about tools, but about the minds wielding them. From quarry to construction site, every step was a dialogue between human ambition and natural limits. The stones weren't just shaped, they were understood, their strengths and weaknesses harnessed rather than conquered. Today, as lasers scan these monuments for hidden clues, we're not just studying engineering, we're decoding a lost language of resilience, written in rock and resolve. Etched into the weathered surfaces of megaliths across the globe, hidden messages wait to be read not in words but in symbols. From the hypnotic spirals of Ireland's Newgrange to the sinuous serpents coiled around Mesoamerican stelae, these carvings are more than just decoration. They're a silent language, a code left behind by cultures who saw the world through shapes and patterns we're still learning to interpret. Take the spiral, one of the most universal motifs. At Malta's Haga Kim, it winds across temple walls, mirroring the cyclical rhythms of life and death. In the American Southwest, the same symbol appears on Pueblo petroglyphs, tracking the sun's journey across the seasons. Could these parallel designs hint at a shared human instinct to visualize time as something circular, not linear? Or do they point to something deeper, an ancient understanding of energy flows, later echoed in modern sacred geometry? Then there are the animal carvings, pulsing with symbolic weight. Göbekli Tepe's foxes and vultures weren't just artistic choices. They might have represented clans, spirits, or even celestial guides. In Scandinavia, elk engraved on Bronze Age stones often face the same direction, as if mapping migration routes or star paths. These weren't doodles but deliberate narratives, stories of creation, survival, and connection to the unseen. But perhaps the most tantalizing carvings are those that blur the line between art and astronomy. At Loughcrew in Ireland, a megalithic slab bears a cluster of circular depressions that precisely mirror the Pleiades star cluster, a pattern repeated as far away as Japan's Asuka stones. Were these star maps ritual calendars or portals to communicate with celestial beings? The answer might lie in the act of carving itself. Archaeologists note that many petroglyphs were pecked into stone with repetitive, almost meditative strokes, suggesting the process was as sacred as the finished symbol. Decoding these messages isn't just about recognizing shapes, it's about stepping into an ancient mindset. Unlike modern writing, where meaning is fixed, these symbols likely carried fluid interpretations, shifting with seasons, ceremonies, or the carver's intent. A zigzag might mean lightning one day, a river the next, or the journey of souls in another context. This ambiguity doesn't weaken their power. It reflects a worldview where meaning was layered, alive. Today, as researchers use 3D imaging to uncover faded carvings or compare global patterns, each discovery pulls us closer to understanding how these cultures saw themselves in the cosmos. The stones don't speak in paragraphs, but in echoes of visual poetry waiting for us to listen. Among the towering stones and ancient mysteries, one question keeps resurfacing. Could these megaliths be evidence of something beyond conventional history? While archaeologists meticulously piece together clues from tools, carvings, and soil layers, alternative theories blaze a different trail, weaving narratives of lost civilizations, extraterrestrial visitors, or forgotten technologies. These ideas might seem outlandish at first glance, but their persistence in books, documentaries, and online forums highlights something deeper: our collective hunger for explanations that push the boundaries of what we think we know. Take the ancient astronaut hypothesis, popularized by figures like Erich von Däniken. Proponents argue that the precision of sites like the Great Pyramid or Puma Punku defies the technological capabilities of their eras, suggesting outside influence. They cite myths of gods descending from the skies or artifacts resembling modern machinery. Yet mainstream scholars counter with a simple truth: humans have repeatedly proven capable of extraordinary innovation without extraterrestrial intervention. The Antikythera mechanism, for instance, demonstrates that ancient Greeks engineered complex gear systems long before we imagined possible. Then there's hyperdiffusionism, the idea that a single advanced civilization, perhaps Atlantis or another unknown culture, spread its knowledge globally, seeding megalithic traditions from Egypt to Peru. It's a tempting theory, especially when seeing similarities between distant sites, but critics point to the lack of concrete evidence: no shared artifacts, no linguistic links, just architectural echoes that could just as easily reflect universal human responses to similar challenges. After all, if you're moving massive stones without wheels, certain techniques like ramps or levers might emerge independently across cultures. What's fascinating isn't just the theories themselves, but why they resonate. When faced with gaps in the historical record, the human mind craves patterns, connections, grand narratives. Mainstream archaeology, with its slow, evidence-based approach, can feel unsatisfying next to sweeping tales of cosmic visitors or drowned empires. Yet the truth likely lies somewhere in between. For every overblown claim, there are genuine anomalies like the 12,000-year-old sophistication of Göbekli Tepe, which does rewrite timelines that demand open-minded scrutiny without tipping into credulity. These controversies serve a vital purpose. They keep us questioning. Whether you're a staunch skeptic or a curious explorer, the debates remind us that history isn't a closed book but a living conversation. The stones themselves don't take sides, they simply stand, silent and enduring, inviting us to keep searching for the fragments of truth hidden in their shadows. Beneath the dense jungles of Central America and the rolling hills of Europe, secrets are rising to the surface, not because of shovels and trowels, but through pulses of light and waves of radar. Modern technology is peeling back layers of earth and time, revealing hidden truths about megalithic sites that have puzzled us for centuries. With tools like LiDAR scanning and ground-penetrating radar, archaeologists are uncovering lost chambers, buried pathways, and even entire settlements without lifting a single stone. It's as if the past is finally whispering its secrets through wavelengths we've only just learned to hear. Take the groundbreaking LiDAR surveys of Angkor Wat in Cambodia or the Maya city of Tikal. These laser scans cut through thick vegetation like an X-ray, exposing sprawling urban networks previously invisible to the naked eye. In England, similar scans have traced the outlines of forgotten Neolithic processional routes near Stonehenge, suggesting the iconic stone circle was just one piece of a vast ceremonial landscape. Meanwhile, ground-penetrating radar has revealed anomalies beneath the Great Pyramid voids and tunnels that hint at undiscovered chambers, waiting for the right moment to share their stories. But it's not just about seeing through stone. Science is also decoding the people behind these monuments. DNA extracted from skeletal remains at sites like Orkney's Ness of Brodgar is rewriting migration maps, showing how ancient builders traveled and intermingled across continents. Isotope analysis of teeth can pinpoint where a person grew up, proving that some who helped raise these stones journeyed hundreds of miles to do so. Suddenly, megaliths aren't just static relics, they're snapshots of dynamic, interconnected societies. And then there's the precision of 3D modeling, which lets researchers virtually reconstruct fragmented carvings or test how acoustics shaped rituals in ancient temples. A team in Malta used this tech to prove that the Hal-Saflieni hypogeum's chamber resonates at a frequency that induces trance-like states, suggesting sound itself was a tool for transcendence. Others are simulating stone moving techniques, digitally testing whether sledges, ramps, or even counterweight systems could explain how massive blocks were maneuvered into place. Yet for every answer, technology unearths new questions. Why do certain underground chambers align with specific stars only visible millennia ago? How did cultures thousands of miles apart develop such similar construction methods without contact? Each breakthrough feels like turning a page in a mystery novel, only to find the next chapter even more intriguing. The beauty of these tools isn't just in the facts they reveal, but in the way they humble us. They remind us that the past isn't a locked door, but a labyrinth, and every time we think we've found the center, another corridor appears. What's clear is this: the marriage of cutting-edge tech and ancient stone is transforming guesswork into grounded theory. We're no longer just staring at these monuments, we're starting to converse with them. And bit by bit, scan by scan, the voices of the builders grow louder. Standing in the shadow of a 5,000-year-old dolmen or walking the corridors of an Inca temple, one thing becomes undeniable: these builders thought in terms of centuries, not just seasons. While modern construction often prioritizes speed and convenience, ancient megalithic cultures embraced a radical concept: sustainability by necessity. Every stone they chose, every alignment they plotted, reflected an intimate dance with the environment, one that left landscapes not just intact but enhanced. Consider the materials, from the slate-grey slabs of England's Neolithic tombs to the volcanic rock of Easter Island's Moai. These builders used what was already there. No quarries stripped bare from distant lands, no carbon-heavy transport networks. The stones of Carnac were dragged from nearby ridges, the granite of Sacsayhuamon carved straight from the mountainside. This wasn't just pragmatism, it was reverence. By shaping the land without plundering it, they created monuments that harmonized with their surroundings rather than dominating them. Then there's endurance. Modern concrete, for all its strength, crumbles within decades without maintenance, yet megaliths like Baalbek's Trilithan still stand after millennia. The secret: adaptability. Inca masonry, with its interlocking stones, flexes during earthquakes. The absence of mortar in Celtic drystone walls allows for natural drainage and thermal regulation. These weren't static structures, they were living systems designed to evolve with the elements. Some theorists take this further, suggesting certain megaliths tapped into Earth's subtle energies. The concept of ley lines, hypothetical alignments between ancient sites, hints at a lost understanding of geomancy. Whether you interpret these as spiritual pathways, magnetic currents, or simply smart placement along trade routes, the effect is the same. These builders saw the land as a partner, not a resource. Newgrange's Solstice alignment, or Machu Picchu's celestial stones, didn't just mark time, they synchronized human activity with natural rhythms. What if we relearned these lessons today? Imagine skyscrapers designed like termite mounds, passively cooled by airflow, or foundations that shift like Inca walls during tremors. Architects are already exploring this, blending ancient wisdom with modern tech. Rammed earth construction, mycelium-based insulation, even piezoelectric floors that generate energy from footsteps. The past isn't just a curiosity, it's a blueprint. The megaliths whisper a challenge to build not just for now, but for the uncountable dawns ahead. In an age of climate urgency, their legacy isn't just in the stones they left behind, but in the mindset that placed them there. A reminder that true progress doesn't mean conquering nature, but listening to it. Amid the precision of laser scans and carbon dating, there's another kind of evidence that often goes unnoticed: the living voices of those who never stopped telling the stories of these stones. Indigenous oral traditions aren't just folklore, they're time capsules preserving details that archaeology alone can't uncover. When the Maori of Rapa Nui spoke of the Moai walking across the island, it sounded like myth until experiments proved rocking the statues with ropes could indeed make them appear to stride. Suddenly, a generations-old narrative became a blueprint for understanding. This isn't unique to Easter Island. Along the Pacific Northwest, the Hulquaminim people describe ancient stones as transformed beings, their placements mapping ancestral journeys. In Australia, Aboriginal songlines, oral maps sung through generations, mirror the alignments of megalithic arrangements, suggesting these sites weren't just built but sung into place. Even the Inca's quipu, knotted cord records, may have encoded structural knowledge later lost to colonial destruction. What makes these traditions so vital is their specificity. Unlike broad theories, they often name tools, materials, or even individual builders. The Dogon people of Mali, for instance, recount precise astronomical knowledge tied to their megalithic shrines. Knowledge modern science confirmed millennia later. Skeptics dismiss such accounts as coincidence, but when multiple cultures independently describe techniques like sonic levitation or star-aligned construction, it's worth asking, are we hearing echoes of real, forgotten methods? Collaborating with descendant communities isn't just ethical, it's transformative. In Turkey, local farmers led archaeologists to undiscovered sections of Göbekli Tepe by sharing place names passed down for centuries. In the American Southwest, Hopi elders helped decode petroglyphs as lunar calendars by referencing ceremonies still practiced today. This isn't alternative history, it's parallel history where science and storytelling converge. The challenge lies in interpretation. Oral traditions aren't instruction manuals, they're layered with metaphor and spiritual meaning. A Navajo story about a hero moving mountains might encode engineering principles within its symbolism. The key is listening not just for literal facts, but for patterns, repeated details across cultures that hint at universal techniques. As technology advances, so does our ability to test these narratives. Ground-penetrating radar can verify buried structures mentioned in oral histories. 3D modeling can simulate ancient techniques described in chants. The result is a richer, more inclusive archaeology, one where the past isn't just excavated but remembered. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson. These stones were never meant to stand silent. They were built to be spoken to, sung over, woven into the fabric of living memory. Today, as scientists and storytellers finally begin to share the same language, the megaliths are speaking back. Beneath the quiet grandeur of ancient stone circles, something intangible lingers, something visitors struggle to describe in words alone. At Avebury, where massive megaliths form a sprawling ring, people speak of a tingling sensation when touching the stones, or sudden shifts in temperature with no apparent cause. Some claim their compass needles spin erratically near certain monoliths, as if the rocks themselves hold a latent magnetic charge. Whether dismissed as overactive imagination or hailed as evidence of forgotten forces, these experiences weave an eerie subplot into the story of megalithic sites. Acoustics add another layer of mystery. In Malta's Hal Saflieni hypogeum, a chamber carved from solid limestone resonates at a frequency of 110 Hz, a tone known to alter brain activity, inducing states of deep focus or even trance. Similar phenomena occur at Newgrange, where the inner chamber's corbelled roof amplifies whispers into echoes that seem to hang in the air like ghosts of sound. Were these effects accidental, or did ancient builders understand how to sculpt sound as deliberately as they shaped stone? Then there are the so-called energy lines, invisible pathways like the ley lines of Britain, or the Chinese concept of dragon currents said to connect sacred sites across vast distances. Modern dowsers armed with copper rods insist these alignments conduct measurable energy, though skeptics argue it's purely psychological suggestion. Science, hesitant to wade into the esoteric, is nonetheless taking note. Geophysicists have detected unusual electromagnetic fluctuations near sites like Carnac, while thermal imaging reveals some stones retaining heat anomalously long after sunset. Perhaps the most compelling accounts come from those who describe vivid, dreamlike visions at these sites, not under the influence of substances, but simply by standing in their presence. A park ranger at Scotland's Carnac Stones once recounted tourists reporting identical hallucinations of hooded figures, despite having no prior knowledge of the site's history. Cognitive scientists speculate that megalithic geometries might trigger primal pattern recognition in our brains, evoking shared imagery. Whether these phenomena stem from undiscovered physics, the power of place, or the human mind's hunger for meaning, they underscore one truth: megaliths don't just belong to the past. They're dynamic spaces where the boundary between the measurable and the mystical blurs, inviting us to wonder if science and spirituality might finally converge in their shadows. As researchers deploy magnetometers and EEG monitors alongside folklore and intuition, the stones remain as they always have, silent yet far from silent. Stretching from Japan's lush valleys to Europe's windswept moors, megaliths rise from the earth with an eerie sense of kinship. Take Ishi-no, holding a floating stone shrine near Kobe, its polished surfaces and geometric precision mirroring Brittany's menhirs thousands of miles away. Neither culture had ships capable of crossing oceans nor writing systems to share blueprints, yet both chose to shape stone into forms that seem to whisper the same silent language. The similarities don't stop at appearance. Many of these sites align with solstices or lunar cycles, suggesting a universal human impulse to map the heavens. Japan's Oyu stone circles, arranged like giant compasses, track celestial movements just as precisely as Germany's Göbekli Solar Observatory. Even the practical techniques overlap. Both cultures used stone-on-stone abrasion for polishing and lever systems to position massive blocks. Scholars remain divided on what these parallels mean. Some argue they're proof of a shared ancestral knowledge, perhaps carried by early migrations now lost to time. Others point to convergent evolution in architecture, the idea that when faced with similar challenges, human minds arrive at similar solutions independently. After all, if you need to move 100-ton stone without modern machinery, certain techniques like ramps or pivots would naturally emerge across cultures. But the most tantalizing clue might lie in the spiritual dimension. From the Basque Country to the Ryukyu Islands, folklore describes megaliths as petrified giants or frozen deities, hinting at a deep-seated mythic thread connecting these distant builders. Whether through trade, migration, or some deeper collective consciousness, these stones remind us that humanity's drive to reach beyond the earthly, to touch the eternal, might be the most ancient collaboration of all. As excavations uncover older layers at sites like Gunung Padang in Indonesia, pushing megalithic timelines even further back, the question lingers: are we looking at isolated phenomena or fragments of a forgotten global story? The stones, as always, keep their secrets, but their silent dialogue across continents speaks louder than words. As the sun rises over ancient stone circles and temple ruins, another quiet battle unfolds, one not against time, but against the footsteps of admirers. Millions of visitors each year bring both reverence and risk to these fragile monuments. The same winds that once carried prayers to the gods now scatter sandpaper like particles across petroglyphs, slowly erasing their stories. In places like Machu Picchu, foot traffic has worn down original Inca staircases, forcing authorities to impose strict visitor limits. Even the act of touching a stone, seemingly harmless, leaves traces of skin oils that accelerate erosion over centuries. The dilemma is profound. How do we share these wonders without loving them to death? Some sites have turned to innovative solutions. Stonehenge now keeps visitors at a distance with ropes and timed entry slots, while Lascaux Cave's prehistoric paintings survive only through a meticulously crafted replica. But not all threats are accidental. Deliberate vandalism, from graffiti at Newgrange to the destruction of Sudan's ancient Nubian pyramids, erases irreplaceable history in moments. Beyond physical damage lies a moral quagmire. Artifacts like the Rosetta Stone or the Parthenon marbles housed in foreign museums spark fiery debates. Who truly owns humanity's shared heritage? Greece's decades-long campaign for the marble's return highlights how colonialism's shadow still darkens archaeology. Indigenous communities increasingly demand a voice in managing sites tied to their ancestors, arguing that preservation without cultural context is hollow. Global cooperation offers glimmers of hope. UNESCO World Heritage Program mobilizes resources for at-risk sites, from the flood-threatened Moai to Syria's war-torn Palmyra. Technologies like AI monitoring can now detect micro-changes in stone structures before cracks become catastrophes. Yet the hardest challenge isn't technical, it's philosophical. These monuments belong to everyone and no one simultaneously, a paradox that demands we rethink what stewardship means in an interconnected world. The stakes couldn't be higher. Each lost carving, each destabilized wall, isn't just a missing puzzle piece, it's a severed thread in the tapestry of human memory. Protecting these stones isn't about freezing them in time, but ensuring they continue to speak across generations, not as sterile exhibits, but as living witnesses to our collective journey. Beneath our bustling modern cities and untouched wilderness, the earth guards countless secrets still waiting to be unearthed. Archaeologists estimate that less than 10% of known megalithic sites have been fully excavated, meaning the vast majority of these ancient wonders remain hidden, their stories untold. And it's not just dry land concealing mysteries. Off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, massive stepped formations plunge into the ocean depths, their geometric precision fueling debates about whether they're natural formations or remnants of a drowned civilization. Could this be the tip of a submerged megalithic world, lost to rising seas millennia ago? The real excitement lies in the tools now at our fingertips. LiDAR technology, once reserved for military use, can now peer through dense jungle canopies to reveal hidden ruins without disturbing a single leaf. In Turkey, ground-penetrating radar recently detected a sprawling underground chamber near Gerbikli Tepe, one that could predate the already ancient temple complex. And with advances in AI, researchers are sifting through satellite data at lightning speed, pinpointing potential sites that human eyes might miss. These aren't just incremental upgrades, they're game changers, turning what was once guesswork into a targeted treasure hunt. Consider how much we've learned from just a handful of breakthroughs. The rediscovery of the Nevali Sori Temple in the 1990s, a close cousin to Göbekli Tepe, upended timelines of early civilization. Or the recent identification of a massive, previously unknown henge near Durrington Walls in England, buried for centuries beneath farmland. Each of these finds didn't just add a footnote to history, they rewrote entire chapters. But the next great revelation might not come from a remote jungle or desert. Urban centers, built layer upon layer across ancient settlements, could be sitting atop undiscovered megaliths. Rome's subterranean ruins, for instance, occasionally yield glimpses of even older structures beneath them. And with climate change melting ice patches and shifting sands, long-buried sites are emerging in places we least expect, like the Bronze Age stone circles now peeking through receding glaciers in Norway. The thrill isn't just in what we'll find, but in the questions these discoveries will force us to ask. Will we uncover tools or texts explaining construction techniques that seem impossible today? Could a single submerged city redefine our understanding of prehistoric trade routes? Every trowel of dirt removed, every sonar ping analyzed brings us closer to answers and undoubtedly to new mysteries. The past isn't finished speaking. It's simply waiting for us to listen. As the sun sets over these ancient stones, we're left with more than just unanswered questions. We're left with awe. From the haunting alignments of Carnac to the celestial precision of Giza, these monuments aren't relics of a forgotten past. They're invitations to marvel at what humans, with nothing but determination and ingenuity, could achieve. The deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes. These builders weren't just stacking rocks. They were encoding knowledge, honoring the cosmos, and perhaps even speaking to futures they'd never see, futures like ours. What's remarkable isn't just the how of their construction, but the why. Did these stones serve as bridges between earth and sky, as libraries of lost wisdom? Or simply as testaments to the universal human need to create something enduring? The beauty is that we may never know for certain, and that's okay. The pursuit of understanding is what keeps history alive, turning every new discovery into a spark for fresh curiosity. So here's where you come in. Down in the comments, tell us which of these ancient wonders captivates you the most. Is it the astronomical genius of Newgrange, the haunting solitude of Easter Island's Moai, or the mathematical perfection of the Great Pyramid? And if you've enjoyed this journey through the echoes of time, be sure to hit like and subscribe. There are countless more mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and we're just getting started. Until next time, keep looking up and never stop wondering. The past has secrets yet